day. We got a Chevy pickup on the rack, finishing it up with an oil change, upper control arm. I'm pulling all these boards off of my step deck. We already did the outsides because I had to haul a telehandler and I didn't need it going through the bed. But I'm gonna get all the rest of these pulled off. These get cut up, get hauled up there, get put in the boiler this winter for firewood. And when I was back in Wisconsin, I had a guy cut me a bunch of white oak boards to spec to redeck this trailer. Where I'm at out here, you pretty much get pine, cedar, not much other than that. You get a few scrub oaks. I think maybe that's a Russian olive tree. I don't really know. It was here when we moved here. But I was gonna leave these top boards because they're not bad, but I got a hole over there and then the center's bad. So if I have enough boards, I'll tear them all off. But what I'm gonna start with is just getting this all redecked and the middle for sure, and see how far that gets us. But that's the project for this Saturday. So we'll see how far we get. I need to get these put up so they don't get warped sitting out here. There's the backhoe over there. That thing's running awesome. We're gonna use it a little today to haul these boards off. We did some digging with it. Digs great. It's got slop in the hoe, but man, that thing's 1973. I think it's the newest it could be. So that's what you get. Got the new alternator on it. That fixed the charging system. Ended up having to put a starter on it because that new hydraulic pump worked it too hard trying to crank it over. So that wasn't too bad a deal. Starts and runs good now. Just going down through here, cutting off these bolts that are broke so they're flush, so I don't have to deal with them with the boards. Just using an angle grinder, trying to throw the pieces in a box so they don't end up in the driveway. About 60 degrees out right now. Let's cut this stuff up, get it up to the stove. Feel the power. You can tell this thing is super sharp just by the way it cuts nice and straight. And then, you know how I got to use that sawing motion with the chainsaw? I treat that saw really good. These boards are really hard. I think they're probably red oak or something like that. But I also think that they're original to this trailer, which puts them at almost 30 years old. Hence why we're doing this. What you want to do is hit the trailer with your saw. That's what keeps it so sharp and keeps the chain tight. Nice. Out with the old, in with the new. This is what I got so far. Got pretty good gap here, but by the time I spread that out between the 5 boards, it'll probably be just fine. Some of that might have been from me not giving the guy the right measurements. Some of it could have been from it drying and shrinking a little. I don't know. No going back now, and I'm not going to rip a thin piece that small to fit in there. The ones along the side, I did not stagger at all. All the seams ended up right here. You can see that this beam is wider. The one that's underneath these 8-footers, it's wider too. So it's designed that you can stagger it if you want. Some of the reason I didn't stagger it is because there's so many screws sticking through that put me in different cross members. You hit one of them screws and it's a real pain trying to keep it going straight, not break bits. But I'm gonna stagger these ones down the middle just because I think it'll be better. Honestly, most of my pressure is out here on the outside where everybody's tires go on stuff. In the middle, I don't have very much stuff that has a narrow front end that'll actually be running on there, but we'll go ahead and trim these ends off where they need to go, keep laying them out. I'm gonna get all the boards laid out in here so I know what I have, and then start screwing them down to decide if I'm gonna do anything with the top or not. Okay, everything is laid out on the trailer deck here. Dump that bucket load of wood. Move the semi because the control arm on the Chevy pickup in the shop is done. So I need to get it out, take it for a test drive. And then this drill pipe, I need to get it loaded onto the trailer along with that C-channel so I can build a set of hay racks for this truck. So I'd like to have that loaded on the sides here when I back it into the shop. Then I'll screw all these boards down and then go to work directly on building hay racks. Got Ernie helping me today. Fire up old Tropic Thunder here, get it building there, because everybody knows a truck this old is gonna leak. Yeah, she's ready to rip. I'll go ahead and haul that other load of wood up behind the house. It's always a game of Tetris around here, figuring out where everything needs to go so it's not gonna be in the way. We bought this place 3 years ago and already seem like we're almost outgrowing it, or at least I am, with all the crap I keep around. Okay, hay rack materials here, but we're gonna finish screwing these down first after we take that Chevy pickup for a test drive and go from there. All right, I'll show you what we got shaking here. I've got a couple pieces, 1/4 inch thick plate. I'm just gonna scoot them in along the side. Claw hammer here, kind of move this stuff around. That's gonna be my spacing. I've got a drill, 9/32 bit, pre-drill the holes. All my screws are not the self-tapping ones. Self-tapping ones work all right for new trailers, but not ones when you're trying to miss old bolts. These have got a great big head on them, about the size of a dime, so I like that. Hopefully keep these boards held down longer. So we'll go ahead and start drilling some holes and putting some screws in. Got my 1/2 inch impact I'm running these screws down in with because it works the crap out of a 3/8, so this works a little bit better. There you go. Everything's got a nice spacing. It could actually almost be 3/8 instead of 1/4, but there's variation in these boards. They're just rough cuts, so 1/4 will do fine, and I'll just split the difference if I end up a little wide in spots. But you get the point of what I'm doing. Now it's just time to do about another 100 more. Moving on down the line, looks pretty good to here. And we're starting to get pretty bad. But best thing I found so far was actually this brass wedge. Didn't have to be brass, but that's what I got, about the right size. I just been getting it started, driving it down. Retraining the boards. There it is. Everything's done. Screwed down. Bottom deck's all done. Oh, I'm glad that I broke it up in 2 parts. I'm glad I had help on the outside, but it was a lot. I can't remember how many was in this bag of screws that I bought, but there isn't much left. Just a handful. I'll try to look it up, but I think it was 250. So 40 foot of deck takes quite a bit. But now I need to do the top in the center at least. Then on to hay racks. We've got the center of the flatbed all screwed down. And it's time to move on to building some hay racks. My brother was here last night. We measured everything out, kind of figured where I needed to be, all the way down to where the ratchets for the straps need to be for this trailer. But what I'm going to work on today is building the actual racks that sweep out from the trailer. This is my proof of concept. I had this piece of C-channel laying around. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna cut a whole bunch of these, and it's gonna be 6 inches here, 6 inches here. I got a line marked out here. This end still needs knocked off. And these guys drop right in the stake pocket like that. And then my 2 7/8 will end up getting welded right on the end down here, right where that line is. And it'll go full length of the trailer. It'll be like this, but down here. So that's what's gonna keep the hay, keep the bales tipped in like this. And that keeps the whole load kind of pinched together. But I've got 3 pieces of C-channel here. This trailer's kind of old, so it's got odd sized stake pockets. It's like 3 3/4 by 1 5/8. So my C-channel is 3 by, I guess it's right at 1 let's see. That'd be 1 3/8. So that's why it fits in there good. I've got a whole crap load of them to cut. I got 3 pieces of this, they're 20 foot long. I think I need like 22 of them. And then up at the front of the trailer, we'll talk about that when we get there, but I gotta build longer ones so the bales actually go up towards the back of the truck. But I'm gonna get set up here a little bit better and then start cutting all these up. I'm using here, I think it's a 5-inch bandsaw. It's made by Winch, W-E-N. I bought this when I was in my last shop because it was a lot smaller than here. And I have used the tar out of this thing. I mean, I don't know how many blades I've put on it and just used it really hard. I think I put a new switch on it at one point along the way, but other than that, just keep using it. It's been a really good saw. And the reason I put a new switch on it might actually be my fault. It's got an on-off down here. They got a trigger that you're supposed to hold, but I've never liked that part about it, so I zippy tied the trigger on all the time and I just turn it on and off here. So honestly, it's probably not even their fault that the switch went out, but it doesn't have any down pressure, so you gotta apply that yourself. But I've even taken big end wrenches and hung it off of here for down pressure so I could keep doing other things, but it's been a real... Here's my wrench trick. 2.5-inch wrench works just right. Really good saw, so let's get to cutting. Well, I hit my first snag because there always is one. Here's my piece that I used for a template. As I was cutting, I got to looking, and look, I bought the wrong C-channel. So, it will not fit down in these stake pockets. So I got a couple different choices. I can take a grinder and I can knock 6 inches of this down, about 1/8 of an inch on both sides on every single one of them, which would be close to 30 times. Or I can buy the right C-channel, throw this stuff on the rack and use it for a different project. Which I think I'm gonna do, because it's enough just having to cut all these up, and then I'm gonna have to cut the angles and bend every single one of them. So Tuesday I'm going through Gillette. I think I'm gonna get the right stuff then and start back into this project then. So it's a Sunday today. What do I do the rest of the day? Well, I told you guys I want to put a winch up there inside the top of this trailer. This is what I got. I always run these Harbor Freight Apex winches. They're like the best bang for your buck out there. They always work. and they're pretty freaking tough, honestly. I don't have to do anything with them. You just hook them up and go. I bought that universal plate right there. So I think that's what we're gonna shift gears and move into. So we'll get the top boards ripped off. I'll weld that plate in there and get the winch in there and then put the new top boards back on. It's not what I wanted to do today, but it's what I got. The only other thing I can do is I need to rework this dovetail on this trailer. You can see that freaking nice wire job we got going on there. That's some Montana custom right there. So that needs reworked. I want these ramps to lay down flat instead of stand up in the air. I want them to go flat across here. So I got to figure out a hinge system. That's probably a good thing for me to figure out today too, because I know I'm going to need some pin material to go across here. This is 1.5 pin right now, but of course I want the ramps to slide all the way. I'm going to cut the back end off because they don't need to be that long, and it'll start here, and then I can put a wider piece of C-channel on the back so I got more room for the tail lights. But never fails, you always hit some sort of snag that you got to overcome. But man, those boards turned out super straight. That was the way to do them. So I guess we'll start tearing the top off of it. Got the top taken off. Got a bunch of bolts to cut off, screws, whatever you want to call them. But I think I probably better clean the 5th wheel plate off before I start cutting and grinding up here. Got a lot of old hay and dirt, so get that cleaned out, cut some bolts off, get ready to drop that winch down into there. All right, I got all that crap cleaned out of there. It's got a little rust in the bottom. I think it looks worse than it actually is. I ran a needle scaler over it, kind of knocked some more loose, vacuumed it out again. I'm gonna blow it out with the air compressor one more time, and then look through the paint cabinet and see what I got. Hopefully I got some oil-based paint of some sort. I'm just gonna dump in there and spread it around with the brush and just try to slow down the rust. Got all the screws trimmed off, getting ready to move on to the next step. Okay, went ahead and slop some paint down and around in there. That should slow down that shit anyways, so that'll be good. Now I guess we'll try to put the winch plate in. It's amazing how well that plate fits down in there. It's almost like it was made for it. That's gonna work slick. Trying to decide, I might just bolt it and then maybe run a chunk of angle iron across the back to tie it in. These plates are decent, but they want to bend out in here if you're only tying them down out at the very ends. So maybe that piece of rebar along the back side would hold it square. Give that a try. Got the holes drilled, both corners, both sides, all 4 corners, I guess. I'm gonna drill a couple holes here and here that'll go through right in between here, be right in this area. I'm gonna have to take the electronic part off of the winch and remote mount it because it's too tall. It sticks, probably 3/4 of an inch up too high. But that's not the end of the world. They're made to do that. So if anything, I might have to make some longer cables depending on where I put that winch controller. So I'm gonna go ahead and weld this angle iron down on both sides. Then I'll drill the holes the rest of the way through this plate and start mounting her in place. Well, I'm ending the day out here. I got all the holes drilled. That back bar is welded down. I don't have the hardware to bolt it together, so I need some 1/2-inch bolts for that. I moved the relays for the winch I ended up making a hanger for that. Just a piece of strap and some angle iron, and it's bolted down in there. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do here. All the trailer wiring runs along there, so there's already holes through there, but these wires are not long enough to get all the way up to the front. There's gonna be a quick connect for the 12 volts for the winch up there. It's probably not something that'll be plugged in while I'm driving, just when I need the winch, and then I'll roll it up and hang it on the back of the truck or something. Or maybe I'll roll it up and hang it on the front of the trailer. I'm not real sure. But that was a pretty good day for not getting to do the hay racks like I wanted to, but I guess we'll see what tomorrow brings. Okay, got some grade 8 hardware in here all the way. I went ahead and ran new cables from the winch controls. Just got to finish running them out the front of the top, and then I'm going to put the boards back on. I don't have the connector for up here yet. At least I'll have to look and make sure I don't have one, but then that's gonna make this deal done, other than running the wires on the truck. So onward and upward.